Four after 8 o'clock South African time. Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum. And we cross over to Palestine and we talk with Osama Nazzal, Palestine Broadcast International Manager. Assalamu alaikum to you. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Good to have you on the show. Very, very important questions coming up, and we do hope and pray that the global community sits up and starts taking notice, because these atrocities cannot continue unabated. And I guess we start off by talking about the two Palestinians killed after the West Bank settler shootings. And obviously that would be in retaliation by the occupiers on the Palestinians. Your thoughts?
Yes, of course, the situation in the Palestinian territories is getting much worse really these days, as the Israeli occupation forces are escalating their aggression against all the Palestinians. And this aggression is launched by the Israeli occupation army, by the official Israeli military institution, and by the Israeli settlers who live in Israeli colonial settlements that are illegitimately and illegally built.
Sorry, can I interrupt you? There's a lot of background noise there. Could you just ask them to quieten down, please, because they're drowning out your voice.
Okay.
Okay, we'll take a short ad break and we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
لا تقل لي وحدي أو كيف السبيل.
Humanity sets the agenda.
Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief.
Currently located along the banks of the Crocodile River bordering the Kruger National Park. As a guest at Buckler's Africa Lodge, one can enjoy an amazing sunrise or sunset on our spacious deck area while you catch a glimpse of some wildlife sightings along the Crocodile River. The sound of the African savannah will greet you whilst you enjoy your morning coffee. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Buckler's Africa Lodge is ideally situated only 6 kilometers from the Crocodile Bridge Gate in the Kruger National Park. Catering for all travelers with variety, we have 4 types of the finest rooms: superior rooms, deluxe suites, and 2-bedroomed family units. Each room is equipped with the finest amenities to make your stay unforgettable. Guests can choose between the self-catering option or book their accommodation with breakfast and dinner included. Buckler's Africa Lodge is your ideal location for the ultimate Kruger getaway experience. We specialize in exhilarating and educational game drives in Kruger, tailor-made to suit your family. Inquire about our various accommodation offerings and other activities. Visit www.tingana.co.za for more information. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Experience the pulse of Africa with us.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Osama Nazzal, Palestine Broadcast International Manager, is back with us. Sorry about that, but we did have to try and cut out the background noise on his side. So thank you indeed, and I do apologize for the interruption, but we couldn't hear you. Let's get back to your response to my first question, whereby 2 Palestinians were killed after the West Bank settler shootings. And we also know that 4 Israeli settlers were killed in that attack, which took place at a petrol station between the Palestinian cities of Ramallah and Nablus.
Yes, of course, we need to understand the context in which the Israeli settlers were killed by 2 Palestinian freedom fighters. You know that 2 days ago, the Israeli occupation army stormed into the Palestinian refugee camp of Jenin, and they killed 7 Palestinians. As today morning, a 15-year-old girl who sustained an injury of the last day Israeli aggression on Jenin died today morning, and in addition to the 15-year-old boy that he died yesterday by the Israeli bullets. So we are talking about a real Israeli massacre against the Palestinian citizens in Jenin, killing 7 Palestinians, injuring 100 others, including 25 cases in a very serious condition. In this context, the Palestinian freedom fighters responded to the Israeli aggression and carried out the shootout against the Israeli settlers. And it is important also for our viewers and listeners to understand that the Israeli settlers living in the occupied Palestinian territory are living in settlements built illegitimately and illegally under the international law, not only from the Palestinian perspective, but also from the United Nations perspective and the superpowers around the world. Israel, of course, killed the 2 Palestinians who carried out the shootout, and its settlers were given a free hand to set fire to the Palestinian properties, to the Palestinian olive groves, to the Palestinian agricultural area in the villages between the Palestinian cities of Ramallah and Nablus. So the result of the Israeli aggression was the Palestinian response. And that is the situation of the Palestinian people under the Israeli occupation. Israel wants to kill, and it doesn't want to get any response from the Palestinian side.
And sadly, the international community is totally quiet on this matter. They just pay lip service, and we do know that those atrocities continue unabatedly. Thank you for giving us the context, but we are aware of the fact that these killings of innocent Palestinian people are provoked because of the hardship that they are put under these occupiers. Sadly, even if Palestinian people in defense kill 1 or 2 settlers, the repercussions are so much more serious on the Palestinian people. They may have killed 2 people, and the repercussions is possibly 10, 20, 30 Palestinians that get killed in retaliation for how the Palestinians try to defend themselves, their land and their rights. Let's look at the issue around the Palestinian Authority being quiet on this matter. Have they come out in support at all regarding the Palestinians and the massacre on the Palestinian people?
Yes. When we talk about the Palestinian government and the Palestinian Authority, we are talking about limited capacities and limited resources, because the Israeli military power is one of the strongest powers in the Middle East. But when it comes to the Palestinians, the Palestinian policemen affiliated with the Palestinian Authority have light rifles by which they can't resist the Israeli tanks and the Israeli Apache helicopters. Of course, here I'm not trying to justify why the Palestinian Authority does not respond militarily to the invading Israeli forces and to the Israeli settlers, but I try to put our viewers in the context of the Palestinian situation and the situation of the Palestinian Authority. Now, the Palestinian Authority is trying to use another arena, which is the international community that you mentioned in your first question, trying all the time with the Americans, with the Europeans, with the Arab leaders, with all international governments to press the Israeli government to stop its crimes, and at the same time pressing the United Nations to send international peacekeeping force to the Palestinian territory. But the problem is that the international community is turning a blind eye to the Palestinian appeal and to the Palestinian request. And just days ago, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas visited China in order to make use of the power shifting in the region and to have a role for China after the Americans proved their full bias to the Israeli occupation government and the absence of any form of even-handed intervention by them to stop the Israeli pogroms and the Israeli massacres against the Palestinian people. So militarily, it is difficult to talk about the possibility for the Palestinian Authority to intervene. At the political level, it is doing its best. It's appealing the word all the time, but we understand the balance of power and the bias of the Western governments, mainly the United States, to the Zionist regime. And this is really hurtful because we see how they all support Ukraine in the Ukraine-Russian war,
Absolutely.
and they supply it with the latest weapons, the latest rockets, while when a Palestinian defends himself, they accuse him of terrorism, and they say that the Palestinian resistance is not justified.
Absolutely, Osama. I just like to make you aware of the fact that we here at Salam Media carry the Palestinian story alive on our platforms. There's not a week that goes by, possibly not even a day that goes by, when we don't raise the Palestinian issue. And we've talked at length with very many journalists and citizens in Palestine on a regular basis, talking about this issue, and we will continue keeping it alive. We also spoke to a journalist last week about Mahmoud Abbas's visit to China. We didn't delve too deeply in that on that issue, but as you've mentioned it again, I'm kind of wondering, do you believe that that meeting with Mahmoud Abbas and Xi Jinping will be favorable to the Palestinian people? And how do you suppose America views that meeting? Because we do know America are great supporters of the Israeli occupation. Do you think something tangible would come out of that meeting in terms of aid, and what type of aid would it look like?
Of course, the Palestinian leadership and the Palestinian people are convinced now that there must be an alternative to the American intervention in the region, particularly when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian question. And the power that can play this role is China at the current time, because of its economic initiatives in the Middle East and because of its leverage around the world, as it is considered a key superpower now that is competing the United States of America. And we have hope, really, as Palestinians, of the Chinese intervention in the situation that we have now, because it was able to solve the conflict or the differences between the Saudi Arabia and Iran. Were China not that power, it would have been difficult to bring the two parties to sit on the same table and to normalize relation and get the situation back normalcy between the two countries. So China can use its economic power in order to have a political impact in the region. And what is assuring to the Palestinian people when it comes to China, that it doesn't have any colonial attitude or any colonial trend in the region. And this is what we don't see in the American interventions, as the United States intervention in the Middle East is based on the colonial project that it has through the Zionist regime of Israel. So yes, if we look at the background of the Palestinian-Chinese relationship, I think we feel that the situation is better because they supported the Palestinian position at the international chambers, like the Security Council's resolution condemning the Israeli settlements, resolution 2334, and they recognized the PLO, they recognized the Palestinian state as a observer member state of the United Nations, in addition to the economic support they provide to the Palestinians and the cultural exchange between the people of China and the people of Palestine, people-to-people relationship. So all these factors give the Palestinians a glimpse of hope that there will be change in the policy of the international community, and China can play the role as an alternative for the Americans in the Middle East.
Is Palestine seeing any aid, economic aid coming through already into Palestine? Because that is very sorely needed. I should imagine economic, medical aid. I'm not quite sure about the education situation. What does that look like? Undoubtedly, it's also pretty fractured. Are you seeing that trickling in from China? Are you hoping it's going to come in the near future? And then what about military aid, or is that off the table? Is that not a question for discussion at this point?
Of course, it is off the table because you know that the Palestinians don't have any control over their borders. So anything coming from the outside world to Palestine must go through the Israeli crossings and through the Israeli inspection procedures. And it takes, for example, some products coming to Palestine take months to get into the occupied Palestinian territory because of the harsh Israeli inspection procedures. So we are not talking about military aid at all, really, but we are talking about serious effort for achieving peace in the region, supporting the Palestinian position that is based on the United Nations resolutions and the international vision of the solution between the Palestinians and the Israeli occupation government. And we are talking about the humanitarian aid in terms of medical aid, financial aid, and of course there are like a set of projects carried out by China in Palestine, in addition to support from other countries around the world. But we are not talking about support that meets the needs of the Palestinian people, especially over the past 5 or 6 years, as international support for the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinian people went down. And the Palestinian public service employees, for example, have not received their full salaries from the Palestinian government for more than 7 or 8 months because of the financial hardship that the Palestinian government and Palestinian people are facing. So we are talking about the shrinkage in international support. And sorry to say that the Arab governments are stopping short of providing necessary support for their brothers in Palestine.
Okay, let's go for a short ad break. When we come back, there are a few more questions that we do need to put to you, and inshallah uncover more issues around the atrocities on the Palestinian people, inshallah.
Okay.
Listen to Salam Media.
There's no smell that takes me back to the comfort of my childhood than the smell of black seed oil being applied by my nanny. Now I'm using tib black seed in my own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like tib black seed. You can find tib black seed at all leading pharmacies or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
This Eid al-Adha, your Qurbani can help feed the needy across the world for as little as 995 Rand. We pride ourselves in ensuring that only the best animals are chosen and that your sacrifice is carried out in a dignified manner. Our teams distribute fresh meat during the days of Eid, tackling hunger in needy communities. Follow the footsteps of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and give your Qurbani today. Call us on 021 633 6413 or visit our website at muslimhands.org.za. Muslim Hands, united for the needy.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Ah, the kitchen, the heart of the home, where memories are made and celebrated. Our go-to place for those freshly stacked pancakes early in the morning or for that late-night snack munchies. We are in there together, cooking, eating, and celebrating life together. Let's keep the kitchen a place that is shared by everyone, where we build stronger bonds and grow together. Sunfoil, Now We Cooking. Visit nowwecooking.co.za for recipes that everyone can help make.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
8:25 exactly. Welcome back. We are talking with Osama Nazzal. He's with Palestine Broadcast International. He's the manager there, and we are looking at the Palestinian situation as we do on a regular basis. Osama, you spoke about your Arab neighbors, and this is a question we've asked often, and people seem to shy away from responding to that question. Do you suppose that our Arab neighbors, Muslim brothers, are not getting involved in the Palestine-Israeli situation simply because it would upset the geopolitics in that region? I mean, the mind boggles what could then erupt in that part of the Middle East. Your thoughts?
Yeah, when we talk about the position of the Arab and Muslim world with regard to the Palestinian cause, we have to talk about 2 points. First, the public level, the peoples. The people's hearts go for Palestine, and we know how much they are sympathetic and empathetic with the Palestinian people, and they are ready to provide everything they can for the cause of Palestine, because they know that the symbol of the Arab and Muslim nation is the city of Jerusalem, Al-Quds, and they don't allow to see Jerusalem under the Israeli occupation forever. We know that they cry for every drop of blood being spilled from the Palestinian people at the hands of the Israeli occupation forces. So there is no.
Okay, unfortunately, we've lost that link. Are you there, Osama? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
So there is no discussion about the people's support for the people of Palestine. But when it comes to the official position, there are political calculations and there are political factors that always impact the position of these governments. And sorry to say that what we have is just lip service and very little support at the government's level. We hope that this will not continue, things will improve, and they will realize that the Arab world and the Muslim world without Palestine and without Al-Quds, Jerusalem, would continue to be an incomplete world.
We're also hearing that the Israeli government is now making statements and making all sorts of noises about dividing Al-Quds, one section for Israeli worship and the other section for obviously us as Muslims. That won't be acceptable at all to the Muslim world, would it? And how do you suppose that is going to play out?
Yeah, the Israeli policy of Judaizing the city of Jerusalem has started long ago, but now it is at its peak as there are a lot of excavations under the Al-Haram Al-Sharif, the holy compound of Al-Aqsa, and at the same time, the Palestinian neighborhoods like Al-Bustan, Silwan, Wadi Juz, all these neighborhoods that are close to Al-Haram Al-Sharif are suffering much on daily basis the aggression by the Israeli occupation government, by the Israeli municipality, and the Israeli settlers. So the situation of Al-Haram al-Sharif is at risk these days. It's very.
Okay, I do think.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are again. Okay, we'll just continue for another minute or two and we'll wrap up. Continue, please.
Yeah. So, and the Israeli policy now, of course, is to divide Al-Haram al-Sharif, temporal and spatial division. This step and this policy that the Palestinians are rejecting, not only by words, but at the same time by action, as the Palestinian residents of Jerusalem are defending the holy compound, sacrificing the flesh and the blood for the holy compound. But of course, alone, they can't stop the Israeli policy because this requires support by all the Arab nations and by all the Muslims and at the same time the Christians, because you know the holy sites that are assaulted by the Israeli colonizers and the Israeli police in Jerusalem are not only the Al-Aqsa Mosque but also the churches there, the church of the Sepulchre, for example, where Christian worshippers cannot have free access to it anytime, and that depends on the Israeli decision and the Israeli orders. So the defense of the city of Jerusalem is a duty by Muslims and the Christians around the world. And the Palestinians alone, I think, is difficult for them to stop the Israeli colonial policy because we are talking about the tremendous power compared to the very little resources that the Palestinians have.
Okay, my final question, let's get back to the violence playing out in Jenin, for example. Tor Vennesland, the United Nations Special Coordinator for the Middle East peace process, says that he is deeply alarmed by the continuing cycle of violence and appalled by the continued loss of civilian lives. Is that enough for him to be making those statements and tweeting about it, his deep concerns about the violence on the Palestinian people? What more ought to be done for the world to sit up and take notice and say, enough is enough?
Yeah, in brief, these words are not enough. The Palestinians no longer accept any form of lip service and condemnation because these statements go for public relations, PR statements, and they are not followed by any tangible step on the ground to stop the Israeli aggression and to guarantee security and peace for the Palestinian citizens in the occupied land. What is demanded is the implementation of the international resolutions that call for ending the Israeli occupation of the Palestinian land and enabling the Palestinian people to enjoy their rights to freedom, independence, and the right of return of all the Palestinian refugees to the land from which they were expelled in 1948.
Osama Nazzal, manager of Palestine Broadcast International. Wonderful talking with you. Inshallah, we will talk again in the future. Go well. Our du'as with you and all of the Palestinian people, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
8:32 News and Views right here on Salam Media. Standing by to talk with us next is Salman Khan, founder and chairman of the South African Kashmiri Action Group.